Welcome to History's Hidden Weird, the podcast that digs into the most bizarre, unbelievable, and truly strange tales from the past. I'm your host, Quinn Strange. Today's episode might be the darkest and most surreal courtroom drama in all of human history. Imagine this, a courtroom packed with cardinals and bishops. The judge sits solemnly. The defendant? A rotting corpse dressed in papal robes. Welcome to the Cadaver Synod of 897 AD. This is not a metaphor. It's not satire. It's not fiction. This really happened. Let's rewind. The setting is Rome, in the late 9th century, a time of political chaos, shifting allegiances, and power-hungry popes. The papacy wasn't the steady religious institution we think of today. It was a seat of power, often bought, stolen, or seized. At the heart of this weird tale are two men, Pope Formosus and Pope Stephen VI. Formosus was elected pope in 891. His papacy was marked by political conflict, particularly with powerful Italian noble families and rival claimants to the imperial throne. He made some enemies during his reign, including Stephen VI, who would eventually succeed him. When Formosus died in 896, he was buried with the usual papal honors. But the very next year, Pope Stephen VI, either to curry favor with Formosus's enemies or settle a personal grudge, decided to put his dead predecessor on trial. Yes, you heard that right. He dug up Formosus's decaying corpse, dressed it in papal vestments, propped it up on a throne, and brought it into a church court. The event became known as the Synodus Horrenda, or, more commonly, the Cadaver Synod. Now, you might be wondering, how does one try a corpse? Well, the answer is, very carefully, and with lots of pageantry. Stephen VI appointed a deacon to speak on behalf of the corpse, while he ranted against it. The charges? Violating canon law, perjury, and usurping the papacy by ascending to it while still the bishop of another diocese, something that was technically forbidden. The trial was a farce. The body, reportedly falling apart, was the centerpiece of a show trial meant to humiliate Formosus posthumously. The corpse, unsurprisingly, offered no defense. At the end of the proceedings, Formosus was found guilty. His papacy was declared invalid. His ordinations were annulled. His 3 fingers of benediction were chopped off. He was stripped of his vestments and tossed into a pauper's grave. And later? Dug up again and thrown into the Tiber River. It was gruesome. It was grotesque. And it shocked even the brutal politics of the time. So why go through all this trouble to desecrate a corpse? Why risk public outrage? Well, Stephen VI likely did it to solidify his own claim to power and appease political factions that hated Formosus. It was a message, no one is safe, not even in death. But the backlash was immediate. The grotesqueness of the trial disturbed the Roman public. The political tide shifted quickly. Within months, Pope Stephen VI was imprisoned and then strangled to death in his cell. The pendulum had swung back. After Stephen's fall, Formosus was reburied with honor. A few popes later, all records of the Cadaver Synod were officially annulled. It was declared a shameful episode. But the damage was done. The bizarre spectacle of a pope putting a corpse on trial had seared itself into history. And here's where things get even weirder. This wasn't a one-off act of madness. The late 800s and early 900s were filled with short papacies, bloody coups, and corruption. Popes were imprisoned, poisoned, and exiled. Rome was a power vacuum with a holy title on top. Some historians call it the Saeculum Obscurum, the Dark Age of the papacy. During this time, the papal throne was often controlled by powerful Roman families. And the result was a series of puppet popes, petty vendettas, and, yes, one truly horrifying court case. Even after the Cadaver Synod was officially reversed, the issue of Formosus's legitimacy lingered for decades. Some popes upheld the annulments. Others restored them. The Church was literally haunted by a dead pope's legacy. But in modern Catholic canon law, Formosus is still considered a legitimate pope. His posthumous conviction was declared null and void. So, in a sense, the corpse won. Eventually, the Cadaver Synod remains one of the most chilling and absurd moments in church history, a time when spiritual authority clashed with political theater, and a dead man was used as a pawn in a game of power. It reminds us that history isn't always logical. It isn't always noble. Sometimes it's bizarre, morbid, and deeply human. And if you ever think modern politics is crazy, just remember that one time, a pope held a trial against a corpse. And lost. I'm Quinn Strange, and you've been listening to History's Hidden Weird. If this story gave you chills, or a dark chuckle, share it with someone who thinks history is boring. And stay weird, my friends. The past sure was. If you liked today's episode, leave a review, share with your weird history-loving friends, and hit follow. Have a strange story you want us to cover? Comment below and we will see what we can do. Catch you next time.